The Grand Assembly Hall of the Galactic Council buzzed with voices. Hundreds of alien species filled the room. They sat in curved rows that went up high like steps in a giant bowl. Light from 3 suns came through the clear dome above. In the center of it all stood Tae-Jun, the human ambassador. His gray hair and lined face showed his 50 years of service. He wore the simple blue uniform of Earth's diplomatic corps. A small pin with Earth's image rested on his collar. Next to him, his aide Jiwoo held a data tablet. Her knuckles were white from gripping it too hard. "The council has reached its decision," announced the head counselor. The tall, thin alien had skin like blue glass and 4 arms that moved as he spoke. "Humans will be restricted to their home solar system. All colonies must be abandoned. All fleets must be dismantled." Jiwoo's breath caught. She glanced at Tae-Jun, expecting him to argue. For 200 years, humans had tried to be part of the galactic community. They had followed rules, signed treaties, and offered help during crises. Yet they were always seen as dangerous. Too aggressive, too unpredictable, too emotional. "This measure is necessary for galactic peace," the head counselor continued. The vote was unanimous. The room fell silent. Everyone watched Tae-Jun. They expected shouting or threats. Humans were known for their emotional outbursts. But Tae-Jun simply nodded. "The council has spoken. Humanity will comply with your decision." Whispers spread through the hall. This was not the reaction they expected. "Ambassador, you understand that all human diplomatic missions, trade stations, and military outposts must be closed within 30 days, asked a reptilian counselor. "Yes, Counselor Zeth, we understand completely." Tae-Jun's voice was calm, almost friendly. "Humanity will return to Sol system as ordered." The head counselor's inner eyelids blinked rapidly in surprise. "Then this session is concluded." As the crowd began to leave, an elderly Draconi counselor named Vex moved toward the human delegation. Vex's species was among the oldest in the galaxy. Their gray, leathery skin and long neck marked them as distant relatives of Earth's dinosaurs. Vex had always been fair to humans even when others were not. "Ambassador Tae-Jun," Vex said quietly, "this is a grave injustice. I was outvoted. I am sorry." "There is nothing to be sorry for, old friend," Tae-Jun replied. "Perhaps this is for the best." As they walked toward the exit, Tae-Jun stopped beside Vex. "Remember this day," he whispered, just loud enough for Vex's sensitive hearing. Vex's yellow eyes widened. "Is that a threat, Ambassador?" Tae-Jun smiled sadly. "No, it was a warning." Later, in their small embassy, Jiwoo couldn't stay quiet any longer. She paced the room while Tae-Jun sat calmly at his desk. "How can you accept this?" she demanded. 200 years of work thrown away. 15 human colonies. Millions of people who will have to leave their homes. "Jiwoo," Tae-Jun said gently, "do you know why I requested you as my aide 5 years ago?" She stopped pacing. "Because of my language skills." "No, because you understand patterns. You see what others miss." He pressed a button on his desk. The room's security system activated, blocking all possible listening devices. "What did you notice about the Council's behavior over the past year?" Jiwoo thought for a moment. "They've been pushing us out of defense meetings, restricting our access to certain technologies, asking more questions about our military capabilities." "Exactly. They fear us, Jiwoo. Always have. We're young compared to most species here, but we advance quickly. We think differently. And now they've given us exactly what we needed, a reason." "A reason for what?" Tae-Jun stood and walked to the window. The capital city of the Galactic Council spread out below, its buildings like crystal growths reaching to the sky. "A reason to leave." He turned to her. "Contact Earth. Use the secure quantum channel. Tell them it's time for protocol exodus." Jiwoo's eyes widened. "That's the emergency evacuation plan. It would take years to—" "It will take exactly 3 months," Tae-Jun said, "because we've been preparing for 5 years." 5 years? But that's when you became ambassador. "Yes. When I saw where things were heading." He placed a hand on her shoulder. "I need you with me, Jiwoo. What's coming next will reshape the galaxy." "What exactly is coming next?" she asked. "First compliance, then disappearance. After that," his eyes looked far away, "after that, the galaxy will learn why it was a mistake to fear us." Over the next week, humans across the galaxy began an orderly withdrawal. Embassy staff packed their belongings. Business owners sold their shops. Families said goodbye to alien friends. There were no protests, no fights, just quiet acceptance. This confused many aliens. They had expected anger from humans. The calm departure was somehow more unsettling. On the mining colony of Rigel 6, the human foreman Do-hyun gathered his workers. "We've been ordered home," he told them simply. "We leave in 3 days." An alien worker named Trell, whose species had worked alongside humans for decades, approached Do-hyun after the meeting. "This makes no sense," Trell said. His 4 eyes blinked in different patterns, showing his distress. "Your people built half this colony. Where will you go?" Do-hyun smiled. "Home for now, then elsewhere." "There is nowhere else," Trell said. "The Council controls all habitable worlds." "All known habitable worlds," Do-hyun corrected. He patted his friend's shoulder. "Take care of yourself, Trell. The future might get interesting." On New Terra, the largest human colony, the withdrawal was more complex. Nearly 1 million humans had lived there for generations. Governor Minji addressed the colonists from the steps of the government building. "We have 15 days to evacuate," she announced to the crowd. "Transport ships are already on their way. Each family may bring personal items only. Everything else must be left behind. Where will we all go?" someone shouted. "Earth is already crowded." "Trust in the plan," Minji replied calmly. "We've prepared for this possibility. No human will be without a home." Behind her, engineers were already removing advanced technology from buildings. Military personnel deleted data from computers. Nothing useful would be left behind. On Earth, Admiral Sung-min oversaw the greatest mobilization in human history. Massive ships that had been built in secret emerged from hidden facilities beneath the oceans and on the far side of the moon. "How many know about this?" asked Captain Junho, his second-in-command. "Only those who needed to know," Sung-min replied. "About 5% of the population. The rest will be surprised, but they'll adapt. Humans are good at adapting." "And the destination?" Sung-min pulled up a star map. It showed regions far beyond Council space. "We've been sending unmanned ships to survey these areas for decades. There are hundreds of suitable planets. The Council never explored there because of old superstitions about dark space." "Will we ever return?" Junyo asked quietly. Sung-min's face hardened. "Not as supplicants. Not as the ignored stepchild of the galaxy. If we return, it will be on our terms." Back in the Council chambers, Counselor Vex requested a private meeting with the head counselor. "The humans are being too cooperative," Vex warned. "It's not in their nature." The head counselor waved a blue hand dismissively. "They recognize their position. They have no choice but to obey." "That's not how humans think," Vex insisted. "They always have plans within plans. We should send observers to monitor their withdrawal." "We already have," the head counselor said. "Reports show they're complying fully. Their military ships are being dismantled. Their colonies are being evacuated ahead of schedule." "That's what worries me," Vex said. "No resistance at all? No protest? It's as if they wanted this outcome." "You give them too much credit," the head counselor replied. "They're young and impulsive. In a few centuries, when they've matured, perhaps we'll welcome them back." As the Council congratulated itself, human ships across the galaxy quietly slipped away. Research stations, mining outposts, diplomatic missions all closed down with perfect efficiency. Ambassador Tae-jun prepared to leave the Council world. His staff had departed already. He stood alone in the empty embassy, looking at the bare walls that once held paintings of Earth's landscapes. His communication device chimed. It was Jiwoo. "All human diplomatic personnel have reported in," she said. "We're at 97% evacuation across the galaxy. 3 more days and there won't be a single human in Council space." "Good," Tae-jun said. "And the special preparations?" "Complete. The gifts have been delivered to our friends." Tae-jun nodded. "I'm on my way to the spaceport now. Is my message set to play for the Council?" "Yes, sir." "It will activate 1 week after the last human ship leaves Council space. Then it's time." Tae-jun took one last look around. The Council thinks they've solved a problem. Instead, they've created one. He walked out the door without looking back. The moment humans left, everything would change. The galaxy just didn't know it yet. 3 months had passed since the Council's decree. Commander Haewon of the Galactic Monitoring Force sat at her desk, reviewing reports that troubled her deeply. Her scaled fingers tapped the screen as she scrolled through data that made no sense. Human activity within the Sol system had gone completely dark. Normally, even a restricted civilization produced detectable signals, communications, energy emissions, orbital movements. But in the past week, these signals from Earth and its neighboring planets had dropped to almost nothing. HFY's species, the Lirani, were known for their analytical minds and attention to detail. Her purple eyes narrowed as she studied the readings again. "This is wrong," she muttered. She pressed a button on her desk. "Send Captain Jiho to my office immediately." Minutes later, Captain Jiho arrived. He was young for his rank, but his record was excellent. His dark green uniform marked him as part of the elite reconnaissance division. "You wanted to see me, Commander?" HFY gestured to the screen. "What do you make of this?" Jiho studied the data, his expression growing more concerned. "These energy readings can't be right. According to this, there was a massive surge throughout the Sol system 2 weeks ago. Then, almost nothing." "Exactly," HFY said. "But before the darkness, our deep space scanners detected something else. Energy signatures consistent with the activation of hundreds of jump gates." "That's impossible," Jiho said. "Humans don't have that technology. We've made sure of it. Apparently we were wrong." HFY stood up. "I need you to take a ship to the Sol system. Find out what the humans are doing." Jiho looked uncertain. "The Council ordered no contact with humans for at least 50 years. "This isn't contact," HFY replied. "This is surveillance. Something is happening, and we need to know what." 2 days later, Jiho's small reconnaissance vessel approached the Sol system with caution. His crew of 5 specialists prepared scanning equipment, expecting to find humans preparing for rebellion. "Maintain stealth protocols," Jiho ordered. "If they detect us, withdraw immediately." The ship slipped past the outer planets. There were no patrol vessels, no defense systems tracking them. This was already strange. Even restricted civilizations maintained basic security. "Captain," called his sensor officer, "I'm not detecting any ship movement in the system, not even local traffic between their planets." "That can't be right," Jiho said. "They have colonies on Mars and several moons. Check again." "Sir, I recommend we move closer to Earth. Our sensors will be more effective." Jiho nodded. The ship moved inward, passing Mars. The red planet's surface showed abandoned human settlements. Domed cities stood intact but dark. "Life signs on Mars?" Jiho asked. "None, sir. The colonies appear to be completely abandoned." As they approached Earth, the mystery deepened. The planet looked normal. Blue oceans, white clouds, green and brown land masses. But the orbital stations that had bustled with activity for centuries were silent, rotating lifelessly. "Scan the planet," Jiho ordered. The results stunned everyone on the bridge. "Sir, I'm detecting almost no human life signs. There are some animals, plants, normal ecosystem readings, but the human population..." The officer looked up in shock. "They're gone." "That's impossible," Jiho said. "There were 8 billion humans on Earth alone." "Sir, request permission to send down probes for closer inspection." Jiho hesitated, then nodded. "Do it." The probes descended to major cities: New York, Beijing, Lagos, Sydney. They transmitted images that left Jiho speechless. The cities were intact. Buildings stood tall. Roads were clear. There was no sign of destruction, no evidence of plague or disaster. It was as if the population had simply left. One probe entered a home in a suburb outside Paris. Inside, some furniture remained. Family photos hung on walls, but personal items were gone. Closets stood empty. It was the same in every home they checked. "Sir, I found something," reported his communications officer. A recorded message. It was set to broadcast on repeat from their global communication center. "Play it," Jiho ordered. A hologram appeared. It showed an older human male in a military uniform with 5 stars on the shoulder. Admiral Sung Min, according to the name displayed. "To the Galactic Council," the Admiral began. "This message confirms humanity's compliance with your decree. As ordered, we have restricted ourselves from your space. We have chosen to take this restriction one step further, by leaving entirely." The Admiral's face showed no anger, only calm determination. "You wanted isolation. We chose exodus. May you never need what you've cast aside." The message ended. The bridge was silent. "There's more, sir," the communications officer said quietly. "We found surveillance footage from their final days. It was left unsecured, almost as if they wanted us to find it. The footage showed families boarding massive ships. People carried small bags of possessions. There was no panic, no chaos, The evacuation had been orderly and planned. How is this possible? Jiho wondered aloud. Where did they go? How did they build enough ships to transport billions? His tactical officer spoke up. Sir, we found something else. All their military installations have been cleaned out. Weapons, technology, research, it's all gone. Even their historical records about warfare have been wiped from their databases. Jiho felt a chill. They took their knowledge of war with them. He made his decision. We need to report this immediately. Prepare for jump back to Council space. The news of humanity's disappearance spread quickly through the galaxy. The Council called an emergency session. Representatives from all major species gathered in the Great Hall. Their voices a mix of concern and confusion. Councillor Vex, one of the few who had warned against pushing humans away, addressed the assembly. I urged caution when we decided to restrict humanity, the elderly Dracani said. Now they have removed themselves completely. This was not a retreat in shame. This was a calculated move. That's absurd, countered a representative from the mercantile worlds. They were cornered and ran away. We should celebrate. Their aggression and unpredictability made them dangerous. Then why does this feel like the dangerous moment? Vex asked. They left everything behind except what they truly valued, their people and their knowledge. Commander Heywan presented her findings to the Council. Our investigation shows the humans had been preparing this exodus for years. The construction of their ships, the organization of their departure. This was not a hasty reaction to our decree. But where could they go? Asked the head counselor. We've mapped all habitable worlds in the galaxy. All worlds we consider habitable, Heywan corrected. Humans are adaptable. They might survive where others cannot. As the debate continued, opportunists from various species began claiming abandoned human territories. Mining corporations moved into resource-rich areas that humans had developed. Trading companies took over former human outposts along busy routes. On the former human colony of New Terra, a Voldar mining executive named Grath supervised the takeover of human facilities. His workers moved through the empty buildings, cataloging equipment and resources. Sir, called one worker, you should see this. In what had been the colony's research center, they found empty spaces where advanced technology had clearly been removed. Walls showed outlines of equipment no longer there. Data banks had been wiped clean. They took everything of value, Grath muttered. Not everything, his assistant said, pointing to basic farming equipment and simple manufacturing tools. Just the advanced stuff. The military and scientific technology, Grath realized. The stuff that could be weaponized. Similar reports came from all former human territories. The pattern was the same. Humans had left their buildings, basic infrastructure, and civilian technology. But anything related to weapons, advanced propulsion, or military strategy was gone. 6 months after the Great Disappearance, Counselor Vex received an unexpected visitor in his private chambers. A small data crystal had been delivered by an unknown courier, who vanished before security could question them. When Vex activated it, a familiar face appeared. Ambassador Tae-Jun. My old friend, the human said. If you're watching this, then our exodus is complete. I left this message for you because among all the council members, you alone tried to understand us. Tae-Jun's image smiled sadly. Humanity hasn't perished. We've simply moved beyond your reach. We've found new homes, made new friends. Some of those friends have their own grievances with the council. Vex felt his heart beat faster. The council feared our capacity for war. Tae-Jun continued. What they never understood is that those who know war best often desire peace most deeply. We could have fought back. We chose not to. The human's expression grew serious. Watch the borders beyond council space, my friend. Change is coming to the galaxy. When it does, remember that we tried the peaceful path first. The message ended. Vex sat in silence for a long time. Then he sent a message to Commander Heywan. Increase patrols along the outer territories, he ordered, and pray we haven't made a terrible mistake. In the darkness beyond council space, new alliances were forming. Species that had been dismissed or marginalized by the council found willing partners in humans. Knowledge was shared. Plans were made, and ships were built. The moment humans left, the galaxy knew war was coming. They just didn't know when. 2 years after humanity's disappearance, the galaxy had settled into a new normal. The council races divided up former human territories. They told themselves that the galaxy was safer without humans. Some even believed it. On the outer edge of Council space, a small monitoring station detected unusual activity. The station was built on an asteroid, staffed by just 12 officers from various species. Their job was simple: watch for smugglers, pirates, or other troubles coming from the uncharted regions beyond. Officer Ye Jun, a skilled intelligence analyst, studied the readings with growing concern. 3 unknown ships had appeared briefly before vanishing again. They didn't match any known design. Could be new smugglers, suggested his colleague, a 4-armed Mithran named Kal. Ye Jun shook his head. Smugglers don't use stealth technology this advanced. He sent a report to command, then went back to his regular duties. The report was filed away, one of dozens that day. No one connected it to similar reports from 3 other border stations. 3 days later, alarms blared throughout Council space. The Krell Imperium, a warrior species long held in check by treaties, had launched surprise attacks on 3 border worlds. Their warships appeared suddenly from jump points, caught the defenders completely by surprise, and overwhelmed them. The Krell had been considered a minor power, their technology primitive compared to Council standards. But these ships were different. They moved in ways Council tacticians had never seen, using battle formations that seemed strangely familiar to the few veterans who had studied human combat techniques. In the Council emergency chamber, representatives gathered in panic. The display screen showed 3 worlds under attack. Defense fleets were being destroyed faster than they could be deployed. How is this possible? Demanded the head counselor. The Krell are a contained species. Their technology is generations behind ours. Commander Hei-Wan, now promoted to oversee all Council military forces, looked grim. Something has changed. These aren't the same Krell we've monitored for centuries. Counselor Vex, who had warned about the potential consequences of humanity's departure, studied the tactical displays. Those attack patterns, he said quietly. I've seen them before. Where? Asked Hei-Wan. In historical records of human warfare. A hush fell over the chamber. Are you suggesting humans are helping the Krell? The head counselor asked. I'm suggesting the Krell have learned from humans, Vex replied. As they spoke, a message came through from the Krell command ship. The face that appeared on screen was unmistakably Krell, gray skin, ridge-like features, yellow eyes. This was General Drac, Supreme Commander of the Krell forces. Council representatives, he said, his voice deep and confident. For too long your people have treated mine as lesser beings. You've restricted our territories, limited our growth, and dismissed our concerns. You've violated 3 treaties, the head counselor replied. Withdraw your forces immediately or face the consequences. General Drac smiled, showing pointed teeth. What consequences? Your ships burn. Your defenses fall. The old order is ending. How did you get this technology? Hei-Wan demanded. These aren't Krell designs. We understand value, Drac said simply. When you cast aside a useful ally, we welcomed them. They gave knowledge. We gave sanctuary. The transmission ended as a Krell battleship destroyed another Council cruiser. Over the next few weeks, more worlds fell. The Council forces, which had enjoyed peace for so long, were unprepared for real war. Their tactics were outdated, their soldiers untested in actual combat. Ye Jun, the intelligence officer from the border station, was brought to Council headquarters. His early report had been one of the few warnings, and now his analytical skills were needed desperately. We need to understand what we're facing, Hei-Wan told him. Work with our best tacticians. Find a pattern, a weakness, anything we can use. Ye Jun spent days studying battle recordings and intelligence reports. A disturbing picture emerged. The Krell weren't the only threat. Reports came in of other aggressive species beyond Council space forming alliances. All were adopting similar technologies and strategies. It's not just the Krell, Ye Jun reported to the emergency committee. The Vorcha, the Talgath, the Nizar, all species the Council has restricted or marginalized over centuries. They're all using similar tactics and technologies. All learned from humans? Vex asked. I believe so, Ye Jun confirmed. But there's something else. Look at these attack patterns. He showed holographic displays of recent battles. They're avoiding civilian targets completely. Military installations, defense systems, government buildings, these are hit with precision. But civilian areas are untouched. A strange mercy from the Krell, someone commented. They were never known for restraint. It's not Krell behavior, Yejun agreed. It's human ethical warfare. They're not just using human weapons. They're fighting by human rules. The realization sent chills through the room. Humans weren't just providing technology. They were actively advising their new allies. As more council worlds fell, defense became desperate. The Proxima Hub, a major transportation center connecting 20 systems, became the focus of the next major battle. If it fell, large sections of council space would be cut off from each other. Commander Heiwan personally took charge of the defense. The best remaining ships were gathered along with hastily trained crews. Among them was Yunji, a veteran pilot who had once worked alongside humans before their departure. As the enemy fleet approached, Yunji noticed something in their formation. They're leaving gaps, she told her squadron. Predictable patterns in their approach. How does that help us? Asked another pilot. Because I recognize the pattern, Yunji said. It's an old human tactic designed to draw defenders into a trap. But if we approach from above the orbital plane instead of head-on, Yunji led her squadron on a different attack vector than ordered. They hit the enemy from an unexpected angle, destroying 3 ships before the Krell could adjust their formation. For a moment, it seemed like the defenders might win. Then new enemy ships jumped in, their designs even more advanced. The battle turned again. As Yunji's damaged fighter limped back to the main defense platform, she noticed something else. The enemy was carefully targeting military vessels while avoiding civilian transports that were fleeing the hub. They're being selective, she reported after landing. This isn't a Krell massacre. This is a strategic takeover with minimal civilian casualties. Commander Heiwan listened to Yunji's observations with growing concern. You worked with humans before. Could they be directly involved in these attacks? Yunji considered carefully. I don't think they're fighting alongside the Krell, but they're definitely advising them. The tactics are too precise, too human. After the fall of the Proxima Hub, the Council finally acknowledged the serious threat they faced. What had seemed like isolated attacks was revealed as a coordinated campaign. The alliance of former outcast species called themselves the Sovereign Coalition, and they demanded recognition as equals, not subjects. In a secure room deep within Council headquarters, Councillor Vex met with Yejun and Yunji privately. The Council has dominated the galaxy for too long, Vex admitted. We've treated many species as inferiors. Now we're paying the price, then what do you want from us? Yunji asked. Find humans, Vex said simply. If they're guiding our enemies, perhaps they can be persuaded to guide us toward peace. How? Yejun asked. We don't know where they went. There are rumors, Vex said. Stories of human settlements beyond known space. Traders who deal with both sides speak of meetings with human representatives. Even if we find them, why would they help us? Yunji asked. We rejected them. Because despite everything, humans always claimed to value peace, Vex replied. Let's see if that was true. The mission was classified at the highest level. Only 3 council members knew about it. Yejun and Yunji were given a small, fast ship designed for stealth. Their official records were changed to show them killed in action. Before they left, Heiwan gave them one last briefing. The council is fracturing, she told them. Some want to surrender to the coalition. Others want to use prohibited weapons that could kill billions. Find humans. Negotiate. The fate of trillions depends on it. Their ship slipped away from council space, following rumors and whispers. For months, they visited remote outposts and lawless stations in the spaces between governed territories. On a mining asteroid known for its neutrality, they finally found a lead. A trader who had dealt with both council and coalition forces told them of a place where humans might be found. There's a system in the Perseus arm, the trader said. No name, just coordinates. Ships go there but don't come back. Not because they're destroyed, but because they choose to stay. Why would they stay? Yejun asked. The trader leaned closer. Because the humans are building something big out there. Something that will change everything again. With these coordinates, Yunji and Yejun ventured into truly unknown space. Their ship's systems warned of dangers, radiation fields, gravitational anomalies, things that council science had declared impassable. Yet there were signs of safe passages, subtle markers that only showed up on certain scanners. They've mapped safe routes through the dangers, Yunji realized. Brilliant. Natural defenses that keep out unwanted visitors. The human settlement was not what Yunji and Yejun expected. As their ship descended through the atmosphere, they saw a landscape transformed. Forests of earth trees mixed with alien plants, lakes shimmered under twin moons, and the cities. They were beautiful combinations of human and alien designs, rising gracefully from the terrain rather than dominating it. Their ship was guided to a landing pad near what appeared to be the main city. A group of people waited for them. Most were human, but Yunji noticed representatives from at least 5 other species among them, species that had never been part of the council. A tall man with gray-streaked hair stepped forward as they exited their ship. "I am Hyunwoo, governor of New Harmony," he said. "You are the first council representatives to reach us officially." "Officially?" Yejun asked. Hyunwoo smiled slightly. "We've had unofficial visitors. Refugees, traders, the occasional spy." Yunji and Yejun were escorted to a meeting room in a building that seemed to be made of living wood. The windows offered a view of the city, where humans and aliens walked together on wide streets. "This is just one of hundreds," Hyunwoo explained, noting their amazement. "When we left council space, we didn't flee blindly. We had been exploring beyond the impassable regions for decades, sending unmanned ships first, then secret expeditions." "How many humans survived the Exodus?" Yejun asked. "All of them," Hyunwoo replied. 8 billion from Earth plus the 2 billion from colonies. Not a single life lost during the departure. That was impossible, moving 10 billion people secretly. But looking at what they'd built here, Yunji was starting to believe the impossible. "You've come because of the coalition," Hyunwoo said. It wasn't a question. "Yes," Yunji admitted. "The council is losing the war. We believe humans are helping the Krell and others with advanced technology and tactics." Hyunwoo didn't deny it. He simply nodded. "Would you like to see something?" He led them to another building, this one clearly a command center. Inside, large screens showed star maps and battle data, the same battles the council was losing. Officers moved around the room monitoring the information, issuing orders. "You're not just advising the coalition," Yejun realized. "You're directing them." "Guiding," Hyunwoo corrected. "We provide knowledge and suggestions. They make their own choices. Why?" Unji demanded. "Why help them attack worlds where innocent people live?" "Look more carefully," Hyunwoo said, pointing to the screens. "Look at the casualty numbers." Yunji studied the data. Thousands of military vessels destroyed, defense installations neutralized. But civilian casualties were remarkably low, less than 5% of what would be expected in such large battles. "The coalition could have slaughtered billions," Hyunwoo said quietly. "The Krell wanted to. Their culture values complete victory. We've been tempering them, teaching them that true strength comes from restraint." "You're using them," Yejun said. "We're helping them achieve legitimate goals without becoming monsters," Hyunwoo replied. "Every species in the coalition was wronged by the council. Their grievances are real, but vengeance without limits destroys the victor as well as the vanquished." A young woman approached with a data tablet. She whispered something to Hyunwoo, who nodded. "I've arranged transport for you," he told them. "Tomorrow you'll be taken to Earth Prime." "Earth Prime?" Hyunji asked. "Our new homeworld, the heart of human space now. If you want to negotiate, that's where it must happen." That night, they were given comfortable quarters. The building was clearly designed for various species. The temperature controls, lighting, and even furniture could be adjusted to different physiological needs. Yunji couldn't sleep. She stood by the window looking at the peaceful city under alien stars. "They were prepared for this," she said to Yejun. "Not just the Exodus, but everything that followed." Ambassador Taejun said it was a warning, not a threat. Yejun remembered. "They knew what would happen when they left." "Not just knew," Yunji said. "They planned it." The next morning, they boarded a ship unlike any they had seen before. It was sleek and silent, with technology that seemed decades beyond council standards. "How far is Earth Prime?" Yejun asked the pilot, a human woman named Sora. "In normal space? About 6,000 light years," Sora replied. "But we don't travel through normal space anymore." She activated the ship's drive. There was no sensation of movement, no visible distortion. One moment they were above New Harmony. The next they were approaching a blue-green planet orbiting a yellow star. "That's impossible," Yunji whispered. "No jump drive can cross that distance instantly." "Not a jump drive," Sora explained. "A fold drive. We don't move through space. We fold it." The planet below was beautiful. oceans and continents reminiscent of Earth but with different arrangements. Orbital platforms surrounded it, along with shipyards and defense installations. "Welcome to Earth Prime," Sora said. "Population 3 billion humans and growing. The center of what we call the Commonwealth. 300 settled worlds, 47 allied species." As their ship descended, Yunji saw cities similar to those on New Harmony, but larger. Vast parks separated urban areas. Agriculture was integrated into the landscape rather than isolated. They landed at a spaceport near what appeared to be a government complex. Buildings of elegant design surrounded a central plaza where people gathered. "This way," Sora said, leading them from the ship. "The council is expecting you." "The council?" Yejun asked. "Our governing body. Not like your galactic council. Ours includes representatives from all Commonwealth species." They were taken to a circular chamber where people sat in concentric rings. Humans were the majority, but at least a third were aliens of various kinds. At the center stood a familiar figure, Ambassador Tae-jun. He looked older but energized, his eyes bright with purpose. "Counselor Vex chose well," Tae-jun said as they approached. "Both of you had positive interactions with humans before." Yunji flew alongside human pilots. Yejun worked with human intelligence officers. "You've been watching us," Yunji realized. "We've been watching everything," Tae-jun replied. "The council thought when we left that was the end of their human problem. Instead, it was just the beginning." For the next several hours, Tae-jun and other human leaders explained what had happened after the Exodus. Humans had settled far beyond council space in regions once thought uninhabitable. They had made contact with dozens of species unknown to the council, many with their own advanced technologies and unique perspectives. "We didn't come here to conquer or dominate," Tae-jun explained. "We came to learn and share. The Commonwealth isn't ruled by humans, we're just the connectors, the diplomats who brought different species together." "And the coalition?" Yejun asked. "The species attacking the council?" A new figure joined them. A serious-looking man introduced as Minho, Earth's foremost military strategist. "The coalition species all suffered under council rule," Minho explained. "The Krell were confined to a single system despite having the capacity to settle 12. The Vorcha were denied technologies that could have cured diseases killing millions of their children. The Talgath were forced to mine their own worlds to depletion for council benefit. We gave them knowledge," Tae-jun continued. "But we also gave them rules of engagement. Civilian targets are off limits. Surrender must be accepted. Prisoners must be treated humanely." "You started a war," Yunji said accusingly. "No," Minho corrected. "We prevented a much worse one. Without our influence, the coalition would have eventually risen anyway, but with far more bloodshed." "This way there's a path to peace. What path?" Yejun asked. Tae-jun touched a control and a holographic document appeared. "These are our terms for ending the conflict. The Council must acknowledge the sovereignty of all coalition species and the Commonwealth. Trade routes must be open to all. No species can be restricted to a single world or system against their will. The Council will never agree to this," Yunji said. "It would end their dominance of the galaxy." "Exactly," Tae-jun said simply. "The old order must end. The new one must be built on mutual respect, not control." That evening, Yunji and Yejun were given a tour of the capital. Their guide was Jiwoo, who had once been Tae-jun's aide. "I still don't understand how you did all this," Yunji said, gesturing at the thriving world around them. "Building cities, forming alliances, developing new technologies all in just 2 years?" Jiwoo smiled. "Who said we only started 2 years ago? We've been preparing for decades. The Exodus was just the final step. But why go to such extremes?" Yejun asked. "Humans could have fought for better treatment within the council system." "We tried that for 200 years, Jiwoo replied. "It didn't work. The council was too set in its ways, too convinced of its own superiority. Sometimes you need to leave a broken system to build a better one." She led them to a viewing platform overlooking the city. Night was falling and lights were coming on across the landscape. "Humans have a saying," Jiwoo said. "Sometimes things need to fall apart so better things can fall together." The old galactic order was stagnant, unjust to many species. It needed to fall apart. "And you appointed yourselves to make that happen," Yunji said. "We appointed ourselves to offer an alternative," Jiwoo corrected. "Every species in the Commonwealth and Coalition joined willingly. They saw a better way and chose it." 5 years had passed since humans vanished from known space. The galaxy was transformed. Nearly a third of Council worlds had fallen to Coalition forces. Trade routes were disrupted. Refugee ships clogged safe harbors. The grand civilization that had stood for thousands of years was crumbling. In a neutral station at the edge of disputed space, representatives from all major galactic powers gathered. The station was an ancient structure, built by a species long extinct. Its neutral ground made it perfect for the most important meeting in centuries. Yejun and Eunji had returned from human space 3 years earlier. Their report had shocked the Council, but pride had prevented immediate action. Only after more defeats and the near use of forbidden weapons did the Council finally agree to peace talks. Now, Eunji watched as delegates arrived. Coalition representatives came first: Krell, Vorcha, Talgath, and others. Their ships were clearly of human design, sleek and powerful. Next came the remaining Council species, their vessels ornate but battle-scarred. "Will the humans come?" asked Haewon, now the Council's chief diplomat after the previous leadership had been removed. "They promised they would," Eunji replied. "Whether we deserve their help is another question." Inside the Great Hall, tension filled the air. Coalition and Council delegates sat on opposite sides, neither trusting the other. Security personnel from both sides watched carefully for any sign of treachery. A signal chimed, announcing new arrivals. The doors opened and human representatives entered. At their head walked Taejun, now bearing the title of Supreme Coordinator for Humanity. Beside him was Minho, the military strategist, and behind them came a diverse group of human advisors. What surprised everyone was the delegation's fourth member, Counselor Vex, the Draconi elder who had warned against pushing humans away years ago. "Vex is with the humans now," Haewon whispered in shock. "He left 6 months ago," Yejun explained. "Said he was retiring. Obviously he had other plans." Taejun took his place at the central podium, with Coalition representatives to his left and Council to his right. His position as mediator had been agreed upon by both sides, a testament to the unique role humans now played in galactic politics. 5 years ago, Taejun began, the Council decided that humans were too dangerous to be part of galactic society. We were restricted to our home system, our colonies abandoned, our future limited. He paused, looking around the room. The Council feared our capacity for war. They were right to be concerned. Humans have an unfortunate talent for conflict. What the Council failed to understand was that those who know war best often desire peace most deeply. A holographic display activated above the central table, showing a map of the galaxy with current territorial control highlighted. "The current situation benefits no one," Taejun continued. "Worlds burn. People suffer. Resources that could improve lives are wasted on destruction. This must end." A Krell general stood. "The Coalition has won most battles. Why should we accept anything less than the Council's surrender? Because victory through annihilation is no victory at all," Taejun replied calmly. "And because the full extent of this conflict has been managed." Minho stepped forward. His stern face showed no emotion as he activated a new hologram. This one revealed hundreds of points of light throughout both Coalition and Council space. "These are human observer ships," Minho explained. "For 3 years they have been stationed throughout the conflict zone. Their purpose was twofold: to ensure Coalition forces followed the rules of engagement we established, and to prevent the use of planet-killing weapons by desperate Council members." Murmurs spread through the delegates. No one had detected these vessels. "On 17 occasions," Minho continued, "our ships intervened directly to prevent atrocities. 7 times we stopped Coalition forces from attacking civilian targets. 10 times we neutralized Council weapons that would have caused mass casualties." He looked directly at the Council delegation. 3 months ago, a Council Black Ops team attempted to deploy a Nova bomb at the Krell homeworld. It would have killed 12 billion civilians. We stopped them. Haewon paled. She hadn't known about this operation. "Humans have been fighting a shadow war," Taejun said. "Not against the Council, but for moderation, preventing genocide and ensuring the conflict remained limited." He touched a control, and the hologram changed again. Now it showed a new set of lights, much larger, much more numerous, spread throughout the galaxy. "This is the actual extent of human space and influence," Taejun said. "The Commonwealth now encompasses over 500 worlds and 63 species. Our technology has advanced beyond anything known in Council space." The room was silent as the implications became clear. Humans hadn't fled in weakness. They had simply moved to more fertile ground. We could have watched you destroy each other, Taejun said. Many wanted to. But vengeance wasn't our goal. Reform was. With another touch, the hologram changed once more. This time it showed human warships, hundreds of them, that had been cloaked at strategic points throughout Council space. These ships could have ended the war at any time, Minho said. They could have targeted leadership compounds, defense grids, communication networks, all with minimal civilian casualties. The war could have been over in days, but that was never our intention. A council representative stood, voice shaking with anger. You manipulated everything. You orchestrated this entire conflict. No, Taejun replied firmly. We simply removed ourselves and allowed long simmering tensions to surface. The coalition species had legitimate grievances. The council's abuses were real. We didn't create those problems, we just stopped helping the council ignore them. He turned to address all delegates. Now we offer a path forward. The new Galactic Accord. The terms appeared on screens throughout the chamber. They called for a fundamentally different power structure, one based on mutual sovereignty and respect rather than dominance. No species would be restricted to a single world or system. No technology would be withheld if it could save lives. Trade routes would be open to all. Most importantly, the council would transform from a ruling body to a true forum where all species had equal voice. Debate raged for days. Coalition members, flush with victory, wanted more concessions. Council representatives fought to preserve some of their former privileges. Through it all, Taejun and his team mediated patiently. They could force these terms on everyone, Yoonji observed to Yejun as they watched. Their ships are everywhere. Why go through this process? Because forced peace never lasts, Yejun replied. They want everyone to choose this new path. On the 5th day, a breakthrough came. The Krell general who had demanded surrender stood again. My people have been warriors for millennia, he said. We believed strength came from conquest. Humans showed us a different kind of strength. The power to win without destroying, to fight with restraint. He looked at the council representatives. I lost family to council restrictions. Medicines denied, territories limited. I wanted revenge. But I've seen enough death. If you will acknowledge our sovereignty and right to grow, we will acknowledge your right to exist in peace. One by one, other coalition leaders made similar statements. They didn't want to rule the council. They wanted to be free from its rule. Finally, after 7 days of negotiation, the new Galactic Accord was signed. It wasn't perfect. Compromises left some dissatisfied on both sides. But it created a framework for a different kind of galaxy. As the ceremony concluded, Councillor Vex approached Taejun privately. Despite his age, the Draconi's eyes were sharp with understanding. You orchestrated all of this from the beginning, he observed. The compliance, the exodus, the selective sharing of technology, it was all planned. Taejun smiled slightly. Not everything. We couldn't predict every outcome. But yes, we saw the probable path. You could have fought the council directly when they restricted humans, Vex said. Why this elaborate approach? Direct conflict would have led to total war, Taejun explained. Billions would have died, and the survivors would have carried hatred for generations. This way, the old order fell without being completely destroyed. He gazed out at the stars. Humanity's greatest weapon was never our armaments. It was our understanding of conflict itself, knowing when to fight and when to walk away, when to strike and when to teach others to strike for themselves. Vex nodded slowly. The moment you left, war was inevitable. Yes, Taejun agreed. But so was the peace that would follow. Across the galaxy, human ships began to decloak, not as a threat, but as a revelation. Worlds that had thought themselves far from human influence discovered they had been under human protection all along. Trade routes that had seemed abandoned were revealed to be thriving under human management. On what had once been the council capital world, Yoonji watched the skies fill with ships she had never seen before. Citizens looked up in wonder and fear. What happens now? She asked Yejun, who stood beside her. Now the real work begins, he replied. Building something new is always harder than tearing down the old. A shuttle landed nearby and Jiwoo emerged. She had aged little in the years since they had met her on Earth Prime. The Commonwealth welcomes applications from all species, she told them with a smile, including former council worlds. There's much we can learn from each other.